And we are live, folks. Welcome to the Sit Down Standard, the podcast celebrating all the amazing things you can do while sitting, whether it's watching movies, enjoying television, or playing games. I am one of your hosts, David Bray. I'm joined, as always, by Gerald Bales.
Hello.
And Gerald Bales.
Hi.
Just Gerald this time.
Yep, I count for two.
Yes. Remember, what did we call it? Bales of Bray.
Yeah.
That's what's the new name of the show. But as we do at the beginning of every episode, if you're listening to the audio version, go to YouTube. We do live video podcasts.
You can see these mugs.
That's right. And also you can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and we haven't asked for a while. If you're listening to the podcast, go give us a review on iTunes.
Yeah, leave us those 5 stars and just say, what you think. These guys are cool.
Exactly.
I like them in my ear holes.
And you can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter and all that good stuff. We
Facebook, all the things that kids are doing these days.
Yeah. But before we get any further into this episode, we got to start with what we start with every episode. What you doing? Oh, what you doing? What you doing? Ba-da-da-da.
Nice.
You like the maraca?
Nope.
All right, then. It's out. Gerald, what you doing?
Other than working a lot this week, I was going to come to the show this week and be like, hey, I finished Tomb Raider. It's really good.
Yeah.
But you know what? I didn't finish Tomb Raider because another game came out this week, and it devoted all of my time, including I was up till 4 o'clock this morning playing this game.
Sign of a good game.
It's called Tom Clancy The Division.
Really? Are we going to still keep the Tom Clancy's?
I don't know why. This has nothing to do with Tom Clancy. There's no books or anything based off this. It's just his name.
That's what I'm saying. I get the Tom Clancy Splinter Cell, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon, Tom Clancy's... do people really... It's like... People
it's a brand.
No, but people who play like NFL Madden, half those kids don't know who John Madden is.
No,
we
not
know
anymore.
who he is. When he runs, he goes faster. But most kids don't know who John Madden is. It's just interesting.
Boom!
Yeah, exactly. Tough acting, acting. But I don't... Tom Clancy, I guess it still has... It's one of the few people that has nothing to do with gaming, and is still apparently
But even
associated.
some of this stuff was like his characters and stuff. But now we're at the point where, I don't know if Ghost Recon, because when the first Ghost Recon game came out, he was still alive. So maybe that was grounded in some of his fiction he wrote. But
yeah.
The Division has nothing to do with his stuff. But it's a great game. It's a if you're familiar with Destiny, it's a lot like Destiny. I know you're familiar because we played a lot. But it's up to 4-player in a zone. It's open world. Multiplayer game.
Okay.
So think of it like an MMO, kind of like Destiny, RPG. You can level up your stuff, you get gear. It's a really fun game. Yeah, it's really good. Really cool.
I have a bunch of questions. I haven't played the game at all yet.
Sure.
So, first things first is a good story, because I enjoyed Destiny because I like the gameplay, but I'm only there for the gameplay because the story is so just paper thin.
What story? Exactly.
Right, and that's my point. So I understand, as from watching, E3 trailers and some of the coverage that's been going on, I know it's like post-apocalyptic New York.
It's not even post-apocalyptic. It's like, okay, so it takes place in New York on Manhattan Island, on a section or a certain part of Manhattan Island. They're probably going to make it bigger with DLC, of course.
Yes.
So the story of the game is that somebody, nefarious people, put virus on dollar bills, a bunch of stacks of 20s.
All right, you already lost.
Hold on. And release them to the public on Black Friday. So it has a cinematic video of people exchanging money back and forth, and people think it's a smallpox outbreak, and then people start dying. So they quarantine the whole entire island. And of course, when something like that happens, there's chaos, there's anarchy on Manhattan Island at this point, looting and all that kind of stuff. So you are a member of the Division, which the Division is a secret cell of people who, when the police, when the army, and when those things fail, you call upon the Division.
Oh, it's like the...
And you're a member of the Division. So the story is definitely there, right up front. You still do story missions. You have to build up 3 different wings, a medical wing, a security wing, and a tech wing. And you do story missions for those specific wings to upgrade them. And when you upgrade those wings, you get perks.
So do you have a team of people that you can choose from? When you're saying all these different wings, what do you mean by that? You're building something, or are you
Yeah, so you build your home base.
Okay, so
and your base consists of these separate wings.
Metal Gear Solid 5 has something similar to this.
Oh, okay. And so when you do story missions for these wings, or there's things called encounters, which are kind of like side missions or whatever.
Okay.
You put points towards whatever wings, and then those wings have different abilities, they have perks, all that kind of stuff. So.
But do you play the same character throughout the arc of the game?
Yes.
Okay, so
there's a little character creator at the beginning, so you can choose your face, kind of like Destiny again.
Yes.
Character creator is not that great. Very few face styles and
especially
hairstyles
now,
and stuff.
Because some of the character creator stuff is you could spend the Skyrim stuff and
Fallout and stuff.
Fallout, yeah, you can spend literally days.
That was kind of lacking, but yeah. So you create your character and you're in this world, and you start building your base in New York and try to take it back from. There's a couple different enemy factions that you try to take the city back from.
But it's all human, right? There's no like aliens or anything going on?
Yeah, all human.
Okay. And so is it strictly online? Can you play?
Strictly online.
Okay, so and if you have to, because I know like with the fire team thing with Destiny, you can play with just 2 and it ramps the difficulty down. Or
yeah,
up.
it's up to 4 in the enemy scale with those 4 people. Obviously, the more people you add, the higher.
And the gameplay, third-person perspective, it's kind of like
shooter.
think like like Gears of War type of style. A lot of roadie running and hiding behind things.
Yeah, it's a cover-based shooter.
Okay, so that's the gameplay.
Yep.
Is it set? There's no like alien technology or something crazy.
As far as I know, no, it's just the virus. They call it the dollar flu.
Very cute. No, I meant the weapons. Is it like strict like
Yeah, you have
assault
M4s,
rifle?
AKs, pistols, snipers, all that stuff, but it's all modern weaponry that we have right now. Nothing crazy or futuristic.
And like MMOs, do you have each person like you have the tank, you have the healer or whatever you want to call it?
That's the things with the wings. Like obviously, if you put a lot of your points into the medical wing, then
Yeah.
you're going to have a lot of those healing attributes. Tech wing, you have a bunch of like. I invest a lot in the tech wing, so I have like this little seeker. It looks like BB-8, little grenade that goes and explodes and it finds its own people. And then you have the security wing, which is more like a armor and buff the team and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because some of the stuff I've seen, like people will have shields, like a riot
ballistic shield. Yeah.
So, because always Tom Clancy games, they always have like not like super crazy technology, but stuff that's like, oh wow, that like you throw a grenade and it shoots out like a pulse and it shows you where all the bad guys are. Does it have stuff like that? Like where it seems like a little future tech?
Yeah, a little bit. Like I said, I have a grenade that literally goes along the ground to find its enemies and then leaps into the air and explodes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so there's different kind of stuff, and you can upgrade those base abilities to do different things. But yeah, it's really really fun. But it's all PvE in the main game, which means player versus environment.
Yeah.
And then they have a section which is in the middle of Manhattan, this big gray scary area called the Dark Zone.
The Dark Zone.
We call it the Dank Zone. Anyway, in the Dank Zone,
Nice.
there's different levels.
TM.
Yeah, there's different levels in there, 1 through 5, and that's different. There's different enemies of different difficulties in those levels. You didn't play Diablo 3, did you?
No. I played Diablo 2, but
So people who are familiar with Diablo 3, there's Torrent level, which is the hardest difficulty in Diablo, and there's like Torrent 1, Torrent 2, Torrent 3, all the way. I think there's Torrent 6.
when you get to the cow level. I'm just kidding. Go ahead, keep going.
And then based on what torrent level, that's how more difficult those enemies are. So you start at DZ1, go to DZ2, DZ3, and that's where a lot of the best loot of the game is.
Of course.
Now in this Dark Zone, you still have up to your party of 4, but then there's other players in this game. So you're killing PvE opponents in the Dark Zone, but if there's another human-controlled character, they can shoot you.
Okay, so it's
kind of PvP. But if they shoot you, they go rogue, which highlights them on the map.
Gotcha.
Means they're a rogue agent and everyone can shoot them. Now, if one of these rogue agents kill you, they take your loot.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
all
so that's
from the entire game, or just from what you got in the Dark Zone?
From the Dark Zone.
Oh, okay, I was like, geez, that's brutal. I was like, can you unload, or can you, when you're playing in the Dark Zone, can you ever cash in?
Yeah, you can. So like,
Bank it, if you will.
Yeah. So anything in the Dark Zone, and the mythos of the game is that this is all a contaminated area, where the other areas are not.
So people are going
contaminated.
insane.
Not insane, but that's why a lot of people are stronger enemies, all that kind of stuff. Now, if you find gear in the contaminated zone, you have to extract them. So you launch a flare in the air, helicopter comes down after
cool.
like 3 minutes or something like that, and then you have to extract your stuff. And then
as soon as you shoot off a flare, everyone knows you have something good that you're trying to extract.
So it's
out.
like someone's extracting
Very
stuff
cool.
here, so it sends. So other people can be there if they want to be rogue. They know you're extracting loot, and they'll try to shoot you. But being a rogue is not really good because so far what we've seen, most people are friendly in the Dark Zone.
Aww.
Yeah, so everyone's kind of
Isn't
nice,
that
works together because everyone wants loot. But I imagine at higher levels, I've seen a couple streams where there's higher levels where you'll have a team of 4 that just kind of
wails on people.
Yeah, exactly.
Because at that point, they could just they don't have to go for the loot. They'll just get it from the people who've done all the work.
Yeah, you'll have people that just wait at the extraction zone for people to extract and just shoot them. But the levels are scaled, so like you're on Dark Zone 1, but if I'm like a level 15 character,
you can't go to the dark level zone of
30. Yeah, that's the level cap right now is 30 for players.
Where are you at now?
Last night I think we ended level 15
already.
Yeah.
How much have you played?
Up till 4 a.m. man.
No, I know, but the game's only been out since Tuesday of last week, right?
Yeah, we played every night since the game came out, at least a couple hours a night.
Okay.
I don't think I played on Thursday. But.
And so when you rank up, I'm guessing things like better weapons, better loot becomes available.
Just like normal, and there's different. Just like Destiny, there's different scales of weapons. There's like basic, uncommon, rare.
See, legendary. I don't mind these games from an aspect of like, but it's kind of a difficult thing to complain about. So like, it feels like with Destiny, the first 10, 15, 20 hours is a really fun experience. Everything seems new. Everything seems original. Every time I level up, I get something cool.
Right.
And then you reach not the level cap, but like it's at some point, it might even be at the halfway of the level cap. Then it starts to feel like, okay, in order for me to, they call it grinding. In order for me to get to that next unveil of things, I have to shoot at a cave for 2.5 hours.
the loot cave, yeah.
Right. And that breaks the game for me, where I'm like, well, I'm not having fun anymore. I'm doing something so that I can have fun. I'm like, that's not what I do. That's called a job that I have. I do things that I have to do so I can go do fun things. I don't want to do that in the fun things I'm supposed to do. So, but at the same time, I understand that they have to create an experience for people that might not enjoy that. And then there are a lot of people who love grinding. They love it's the time and effort put into something to gain something else. And I get that. But
like when we played Diablo 3 back in the day, it only came out a few years ago, but we used to play Diablo 3 a lot, and it was like that, where you were doing the same exact levels over and over again just to get a little bit better loot. Then you upgrade your magic fund and get better loot. And from what I've seen of different streams, obviously I'm not at that end game level yet, but what I've seen from other streams, at least that end game where you're grinding the dark zone for loot and much better loot, that doesn't seem stale, because there's always newer enemies. There's always maybe other players that you're fighting against. And the way the loot is like you obviously have max level loot, and then above that you have dark zone loot. And then after that, the best loot in the game is craftable loot. So you have to start getting those high-end craftable components to ever make your own stuff.
Break everything down.
Exactly.
See, the thing that's interesting, I always hear, a lot of these games get a lot of flack for their in-game whatever, their in-game cool factor. You have to take into consideration, what's the percentage of people that are going to get there? 1 to 10% of the people that play your game, maybe. I don't think most people get to level cap. You think what percentage do you think of people?
Like I said, the level cap's already 30, or only 30.
I'm saying in-game stuff, like where it's the final thing of the game,
as it is right now. Because like I said, this is a game where it's like Destiny. The level cap's only 30, so they're going to release expansions, all that stuff that's going to raise it. They got to get that money somehow.
But I'm saying
they're going to add raids starting next month.
Right, but my point is I think a lot of people get a lot of crap for like, I played all the way to the end game and then it really wasn't that big of a reward. But it's like at the same time, like if I'm a developer and I'm sure they look at statistics and probably listen, I'm gonna be modest and say 25% of people get that high. Most people check out. Most people don't finish games ever. I think. Okay. So it's difficult for them to probably spend resources, time, and energy on something that 25% of their buyers are going to.
I think it depends on the game. Like a single player experience where you're just like meh with the story and you leave it at that. But a game like this where it's meant to be played, not a few weeks and I'm done and I beat the campaign, you're done. This is something like Destiny that you're supposed to be playing. Hopefully, Ubisoft would like to say this, that you're playing for years to come.
Is that there? Oh, I had another question about this game. So one big thing that this game had a big push for was the idea of integrating, and I think this was like Ubisoft's general campaign with a lot of their games, was having the ability to interact with their games on multiple different devices. There was a iPad app where you could support they got rid of all that? Yeah,
so they can that. There was the companion app that was in development that they showed during E3 where you can have a player on the iPad and they're a drone looking at the battlefield.
That's cool.
And we were looking at this. I was talking to Alex and was like, do they have a character view app or something on the iPhone? They were like, no, I looked it up and it was canceled in June because in playtesting they found out that having that ability was almost too powerful and just wasn't fun. So they just scrapped the whole
It's just
app.
hard to balance it all, yeah.
Exactly.
I get what you said.
Yep.
But other than that, you're happy with it? You think you're going to play it a bunch more?
Yeah, it's the test is just getting to the end game and just seeing if it holds. But, they already committed to a bunch of DLC stuff free, the first, I think, year, I want to say, but I'd have to be sure about that. But, new content that they're coming out with that they've committed to. Destiny, that was kind of the thing that sucked is, a few months after release, it seemed like they were talking about the first expansion. It was like $20 or something like that.
Yeah, but at the same time, you got to take into consideration. I mean, all these companies they're for-profit companies.
No, I understand
and
that.
I think you have to be really careful with their messaging. I'm not a PR guy, but if you come out too quick out of the gate and hey, here's a bunch of stuff, and people are like, why isn't that on the disc? But you have to think of, they probably develop all that stuff at the same time, and they make a conscious decision of that's the part that everyone gets mad about. Oh, you should have put that in the game. Well,
it depends. When you put out a game and then 3 or 4 months later you're putting out paid DLC, that really sucks. But I think this game, like Ubisoft's looking, or it's Ubisoft and Massive Entertainment, just to say that. But they look at, obviously this can be mostly compared with Destiny. They look at Destiny, they look at the mistakes Destiny did, which they did a lot the first year of that game, and they made a lot of changes to this game so people don't have the same problems. So
because I checked out. Like I know Wrath, or what is it called? King. Wrath of the King. I want to say Lich King, but that's
a
World of Warcraft.
The first expansion was the Dark Below, and then the big expansion. Oh, the Taken King.
The Taken King. Yeah.
I didn't even get that far.
I've heard nothing but great things, and I've heard from people who were, kind of soured by the initial experience. They say it's fantastic. It's fantastic for the first few months, and then it gets stale again. And they've canceled. Bungie has canceled all of their plans for this year for more DLC. Yeah, but that's a. I can't believe people would complain about that. Oh, you play it for a month and it's fantastic, and then after that you don't like. I mean, you played it for a month. Like some games, Tomb Raider is a single campaign experience. Now, granted, you can replay it and get all the achievements and 100% it or whatever, S rank it if you will, but you only play that game for probably 7 to 8 hours, maybe 10 at the most. I mean, you're not playing it for months, and people don't complain about that.
But it's a different experience. You put money into a game where you're going to be playing for months on end, because it's an MMO technically. So I mean, think of World of Warcraft. You buy expansions, but those expansions come out every few years, but it keeps adding to the content of the base game.
I agree, but you just said, oh, you play it for a month and then it becomes stale, and you're saying that as if it's a negative thing. I'm saying
not necessarily, but you're expecting more, and it's not more. Yeah.
So, so far, you would recommend people check it out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely.
I'm probably going to get it.
Yeah, like I said, it's really good. You have to play it with people. I mean, if you play it by yourself, it's probably going to get boring, but I mean, same thing with Destiny, but it is an MMO game, so play with people, and it's really fun. It makes it easy to match make with other people as well if you don't have friends.
Cool. You going to ask me?
Oh, yeah. David, what you doing?
Catching up on a couple things. Catching up on some new TV and catching up on some old movies. Well, not really catching up, just rewatching. So whenever we do these themed episodes of the podcast, like we did Disney, I watch a bunch of Disney movies. I always do this after we watch it. I watch all of the stuff that we talked about. That's probably a good thing, though.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I watched that I was really excited to watch was Predator. in the Disney mood.
And the original one, right? Not
yes, the Arnold.
Gotcha.
And this movie's fantastic. I mean, it's everything.
It's known, yeah.
Well, here's the thing:
cult, kind of.
Yeah, of course, but it knows what it is. You know what I mean? Like so many movies now that are action movies try to weave in some other weirdness into it, and Predator knows exactly what it is. It is a jungle action movie with an alien. They don't explain who Predator is in this movie. I don't remember that. I thought
There's no backstory, what planet he came from, or why he's on Earth.
Nope, just lands on the planet, starts killing people. That's it. That's pretty much it. Now
it's refreshing these days where there has to be an origin for every little thing. It's just like, well, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care.
And I mean, the thing we were talking about, because we were at lunch, you were talking about, or I was asking you, do you remember all of the dialogue is like dubbed over? It's not like.
I think we're talking about that. It's just because the technology back then, they're filming outside, obviously, in this forest.
Yeah.
And they don't have the technology to, zero in on Schwarzenegger's voice, so they just redub it in the studio.
But it's just great to see him. I love when he's angry and he talks. Kill me, do it. It's just like so fantastic. But it's just, and there's parts of that movie that are so cheesy, because there's a part where he puts mud all over him and the Predator can't see him. And he, of course, that. They show the vision. There's no red vision. By the way, I'm like, why does the mud hide body heat?
Because it's cold.
I still think your body heat would pour through.
Well, eventually.
I mean, I'm not saying the myth, the canon of Predator, but anyways. But of course, then Arnold says out loud, "He can't see me." Like, yes, thank you.
Do you know he can't hear either?
Anyways, the movie actually looks really good. The jungle looks great. I watched like the Blu-ray version, so
still hold up with the gore and everything.
Yeah, it definitely, like, he rips out the guy's spine with his head, the skull attached. Like, there's definitely some gory parts and, like, the skinning of people and stuff. It's actually, the thing that I realized, back in the late 80s and early 90s, like, a lot of action movies, RoboCop, like, they're all, like, really violent.
RoboCop, I remember rewatching fairly recently. I was like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, because you remember when you were a kid, you were like, RoboCop, he spins the gun and he puts it in his leg. Yeah. And, like, there was, like, a kid thing. Yeah, like, Murphy. But, yeah, they're super violent. Anyways, what I was also looking up, they're obviously going to remake, or they're not remake, I think they're just doing
reboot.
Whatever. I think it's called The Predator. I was The Fast and Furious instead of. Anyways, Shane Black is supposedly going to be directing it, and he was in the first movie. He plays one of the commandos, which is super cool because he's in the original. So it's like it's cool to see that progression.
It's almost like he's a fan. That's why he's doing it, right?
And so there's been recent talks that Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to come back and reprise his role.
What's he doing? Those freaking stupid game commercials.
Oh, I'm sure he's making a ton of money.
Yeah, I'm sure he is too.
But yeah, I'm excited. I like Predator. I like the way he looks. I'm excited. The big thing about the Predator back then, he looks gross. Like it holds up really well. Like he's got the saliva. He's got the Alien versus Predator. He's got that look.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's the same guy who developed the Alien from Alien.
The costumes. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could tell he's got kind of a craft in that. But excellent movie. If you have not seen Predator, go see. I mean, it's the get to the chopper. That's where it comes from. Get to the chopper. Like every time he says it, you just like, and if he's in the new movie, he's got to say it at least 2 or 3 times, right?
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, definitely check out that. The other thing I was catching up on is Netflix. So the month of March for Netflix is
There's
insane.
So much TV, man. So much.
That's
TV.
what we were at the movie theater because we're gonna review a movie here in a second. But there's so much content. They were talking about stuff on Hulu. They're talking stuff on Amazon Prime. Like there's just way too much content. So one thing we're going to work on for our podcast, we're going to come out with this thing called Netflix Hits. We'll have it for you next week, where we're going to kind of look at what's come out in Netflix for this month and what's kind of maybe leaving and stuff maybe you might want to check out. Because honestly, I do this all the time. Me and Alyssa will be sitting, me and my wife will be sitting and be like, oh, let's watch Netflix. And we go to Netflix. I don't want to watch that. What's that? What's that? Oh, that's good. I remember that movie. And we spend like 35 minutes and then we go,
finally finding something.
No. Then we just go, you know what? I don't watch anything. I swear we've done that like multiple times. There's just too much. You know what I mean? It's like when you go to a restaurant, like
it's not even just Netflix. Like there's just like, I'm a TV prude, as you know, our listeners know.
Yeah.
But like even there's too much good TV. Like I can't get to all the good stuff. I'm like,
no, it's not like
can we start making some crap, please, so I don't have to watch it? You know, so I wish I had just like 5 core shows, but I had just so many. And finally, it's about that time where spring's coming around, so a bunch of shows are ending. But of course, you know, come March, April, May, and a lot of shows are going to start back up.
Game of Thrones, all that stuff. Did you see that trailer?
Oh yeah, I did.
I tried not to watch it, and then it was at the top of YouTube, and I was like, I have to. Yeah, I had to. I had to watch it. It looks so good.
I choose violence.
Oh, so good.
Seriously.
Anyways, but I catched up on, speaking of another great TV show, House of Cards. So I watched me and Alyssa, my wife, we watched the season premiere of season 4 of, is it season 4?
Yeah, that's the new season. Don't tell me because I haven't watched it.
I won't tell you, but it's great. They do a good reset. The third season, I'm not going to ruin anything for anybody, but in my opinion, it was a lull. I think the first 2 seasons are great. And I think
we watched all of them but the finale. I don't know why we stopped at the finale. There was just something else, I guess.
But I think that's why. It kind of got slow. This one feels like a good reset. I think you could probably guess based off of like what was going on at the end of the 3rd season how it resets. I won't ruin anything.
Was it weird? Because there's like,
no,
it's like, the normal, okay, we're going to do some backstabbing political stuff, and then like weird stuff. You're just like,
yeah, they do that every once in a while, like where Meacham starts making out with spoilers, bro. Doesn't matter. I could literally
stuff like that. You're just like, what the?
I could tell you what happens, and you'd still what? Why?
Yeah, stuff like that. And I heard like the premiere of season 4 was just like, oh, we're watching House of Cards, all right.
Yeah, there's definitely that. There's definitely moments where it's like, okay, what the heck is going on?
Nice.
But it's excellent. It seems like they're it's a good reset, which is always good for a new season, and then they have some new characters, which is interesting because. You know it's bad when you watch, because you watch, with Netflix, you binge. So those are the only shows that I actually recognize, like every actor in the credit roll at the beginning. And like, I'm like, oh, who directed this one? Oh, because you watched it like 10 times in a row. But can't wait for that. And then, of course, like I said, we'll do the Netflix hits, but Daredevil's coming out.
Oh man, I haven't finished Jessica Jones yet. We're like almost, there's a few episodes of Jessica Jones.
So good. And then they just talked about the date, or they released a date for Luke Cage's.
Yeah.
So I can't believe how good Netflix is getting at this stuff. I mean, like you could literally just
they're hitting on all cylinders. They have the Fuller House and stuff. They just renewed for a 2nd season.
Yep.
So they literally have something for everybody. But yeah, it's great.
Speaking of Marvel, another thing that I did was check out the new Captain America trailer.
Oh my god, the new trailer.
Civil War.
Like I said, I am okay. I'm so much more hyped for this movie than that stupid Batman vs Superman, whatever that is.
Whatever, it's gonna be a good movie.
No, it's
don't hate.
But yeah, oh my god, that trailer.
Yeah,
oh my god.
Yeah, whenever I get a text message at like 6 a.m, and it's like it's a YouTube link. I know it's going to be some trailer for some movie, and I was like, okay, what is this going to be? And then Civil War, and I was like, I already saw it. I thought they already did the last trailer, and then of course at the end.
And obviously, David's reaction to the first trailer, you can go back on the Instagram and check that out. I'm sure your mind was blown even more this time.
Well, I was, they did a good job because I was like, oh, I guess they're not going to show Spider-Man. And then, of course,
they save it to the very end. Yeah. His suit. What do you think of the suit?
I like it. I think it's here's the thing. It didn't matter what his suit looked like. I really don't care.
I think it did.
I really don't. I mean, if they would have gone, the only thing if you make him like Spider-Man 2099 or something, like something off the wall. But I enjoyed the one with Andrew Garfield. I like the more CGI kind of. This is the thing about all the suits, by the way, in all these movies. Who they apparently make the suit, or Shield, I guess, does, but Shield doesn't because they don't know there's some of their secret identities. So here's the deal: are all those guys like? Can they sew their suit?
Are you talking about in the Avengers one?
Just in the Marvel universe, like superhero universe. Who's making all the? Because if I made you a Spider-Man suit, I'd be like, I know who Spider-Man is, right? Like,
yeah. Well, that's what I hated about the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man or Sam Raimi, whatever, and then the Andrew Garfield because their suits were too nice. Like they had the embossed webbing and stuff. I'm like, Tobey Maguire's not going to make that at home. You know what I mean? Where they, the one in the new Civil War, it looks like the classic, which I watched the crap out of the cartoon.
The Fox cartoon.
Oh yeah, I loved it. So
good.
like seeing the fat spider on his back.
Yes.
And seeing the little tiny spider on the front.
Yeah.
And the suit is like, it's cloth. It's like a cloth thing, but it doesn't have raised webbing or anything like new or modern. But his eyes can now animate, and it's like it's techie, so it's like a mechanism kind of.
So
thing,
yeah, it looks like it's kind of like a zoom in, like on a camera, which is cool
because you can show like the emotions of eyes and stuff like that. But it doesn't seem too outlandish.
Yeah, and a lot of
their
people,
lenses almost.
Right, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, see, they copied Deadpool." I'm like, dude, you don't think they filmed this? Like, it takes a while to edit stuff, guys. Like it was edited well in advance of this stuff. But I love it. Already feels like, you know, with him calling him Underoos, like the feel of Tony Stark and Spider-Man is going to be great. I can't wait for that. I can't wait for Captain America and Spider-Man's interaction. I'm really excited to see all this stuff on screen.
Yeah, me too.
Interesting stuff. Speaking of Spider-Man and the new Marvel Daredevil, apparently the guy who is playing Punisher, he was on Walking Dead. I can't remember his name.
I forgot his name too, but yeah.
The guy who is playing Punisher and the guy who auditioned and is now the part of Peter Parker, apparently they were working on a movie together and sent in their tapes to be casted for those roles together, and they both got picked. Like, that's gotta be pretty cool. Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
And there's some article that's like, yeah, Marvel has that video, but I'm sure they're never going to show it to anybody.
No.
Of course not. But yeah, dude, I can't wait. I'm excited for Batman versus Superman. We talked about this a little bit with, you know, I think it's going to be a Zack Snyder film. If you don't like Zack Snyder, you're not. No, he makes good movies. You liked 300, Watchmen.
Yeah, but okay, so those movies are like Watchmen was meh. But I wasn't a big fan. I never read the graphic novel before. I didn't read 300 before, too. But the 300 was like the more style of the movie, which I really liked, the cinematography and all that stuff. Every single time I see a trailer for that movie, it's just, this movie's such a mess. There's just too much going on.
It does feel bloated, but we'll see.
Have we not learned from Spider-Man 3 or Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Speaking of Spider-Man,
Age of Ultron,
they said they're booting up a Venom movie.
That was shelved when they went to Marvel to ask.
Yeah, they were going to do like Sinister
Six. And then they
Six.
brought it back because I'm just like, stop it.
People love Venom, though. I mean, I
really like Venom. He's a cool looking character.
Don't cast Topher Grace, like the skinniest white guy. Like,
he's supposed to be like some beefy astronaut, right?
Yeah, he's a football player. Like, he's supposed to be a Brock. You know, it's like Eddie Brock. Like, he's got to be a big dude. I mean, I actually thought the Venom suit looked cool in the Sam Raimi,
it was cool,
Spider-Man 3. But yeah,
it looked like the symbiote, whatever.
Yeah. All right. So now that we got through Whatcha Doing, we had a couple things we wanted to talk about. You had some stuff
things that are going on this week.
You had something written down here.
We had a couple things. So I don't know if you heard about this.
Yes.
Apple versus FBI.
I've heard about it.